everyone. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Pascal, and this is Grace, Grit, and Hope. Another interview
With today's guest, who is going to tell a story that I've always wanted to hear about the story of Miguel's restaurant and then the new restaurant. Dario Ventura, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I know that you were there from the very beginning. Tell us about the start of Miguel's restaurant that a lot of people don't really know, in my view, when they go there, how that all started.
Yeah, it's, there's probably a few variations of the story, but this is, I guess, from my perspective. My father and mother kind of came from different backgrounds. My mother was an Irish, kind of 9-to-5 working class family in Connecticut. Her father fought in 2 wars and had a more traditional, American lifestyle, I guess you could say. My dad, on the other hand, his mother brought him to the United States when he was 5 years old. And
Where did they come from?
They came from Portugal, a little town about an hour north of Lisboa. I was there 4 years ago. Still very traditional.
Yeah. And we want to hear about that.
Yeah. Just like a very village town that, grew up with, trade, and his grandfather and his great-grandmother owned like the town mill. So they produced flour for the whole town, and then that's kind of how they made a living. And so
that's kind of appropriate.
Yeah, it kind of ties into the whole future of it all. And so they, that was their, reality. And even going back and visiting, the town was famous for like blood sausage, which is like a very Portuguese thing that they still produce to today. And it seemed very, not third world, but still just not connected to the mainstream of what the world has become, which was pretty amazing considering. They moved to Connecticut when my dad was 5. My grandfather was a janitor at the high school. My grandmother was a seamstress, also worked in the school. They were working class Americans, as anyone that immigrated to America at that time was. And then my dad was also ended up working with my grandfather as a janitor at the high school.
And somewhere in there, your dad met your mother.
Somewhere in there, my dad met my mother, and they kind of met on the scene because my dad was, at a young age, was a very good artist, and the people around him kind of recognized that. I think he got accepted to like the Juilliard Art School.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And, it was this very creative, artist, and met my mom around that time. And they, in the late 70s, it was like, there was kind of this movement of being like more independent, like mail order catalogs and making your own flour. There was this like whole independence movement of being self-reliable, I think, was the main thing, and not needing society, I guess, as much. So they were kind of like these New England kind of hippies, let's call them.
Yeah.
And my dad had a friend who, at that time in Eastern Kentucky, land was quite cheap, especially in Connecticut, where property values were going through the roof, and it was very unaffordable. So my dad's friend, and I think there was like 8 of them, went in on a partnership and bought 50 acres where Miguel's Pizza sits now.
Yeah.
I think it was for like $40,000. They all got a mortgage.
For 50 acres.
Yeah, for 50 acres.
Yeah.
They all got a mortgage, and they were barely affording it. And then, we moved down, and then a few years later, my grandparents also moved down. My grandma still lives next door to us. She's 97.
Wow.
So
Wow.
She's trying to stay with us as long as possible. She's kind of the soul of us.
Born this year, same year as me.
Yeah. There,
1929.
Yeah.
there was a building there where I believe called the Jotham Down.
The Jotham Down store. So when we showed up, or when my dad showed up, I was just being born. The Jotham Down store had kind of fallen away. It was an abandoned building at the time. And then everyone in this partnership were kind of career people. They already had their things. And my dad was actually driving to Lexington and working at a horse farm, shoveling stalls.
Wow.
And that's just making a living.
Yeah. Hard work.
Hard work. And this old building was just sitting there, and both of them, the core of my parents is they have an exceptionally good work ethic, and they love work, and they love creation, and they're really creative people by heart, and work is just a way for them to create something,
Yeah. And you had 32 flavors of ice cream originally?
Yeah,
Do you remember this?
Oh yeah, especially as a kid, ice cream was at the top of it. And they, so it started an ice cream shop. The ice cream shop actually came quite successful pretty quickly. And we'd have lines out the door of 35-cent cones, and the whole, we had Haagen-Dazs and Ben and Jerry's in the early 90s in Slade, which was, crazy, really.
Yeah.
But then, one, it didn't really make much money because back then no one was going to pay much for ice cream. And my parents are very health food, they're very basic eaters. They cherish like the simple things. And I think consciously they were getting a little weird about feeding all of Eastern Kentucky this ice cream. And even my mom would not even let us eat ice cream sometimes.
Right. Okay.
And so they were kind of looking for another avenue. And about that time, climbers started just showing up.
When was this?
Like early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah. And Porter Gerard, a kind of famous person from back then, who was a Lexington resident, came out there and just started developing this new avenue of, adventure for people. Before that, it was just hiking. And even in the state, I feel like it wasn't really advertised or promoted.
Yeah.
And so it brought this new avenue in. And as a child, it was like, kind of a new character to the stage. Like, who are these people? They're these weird people. And they would travel from everywhere, because if you drive east to here, the next climb you get that's pretty good is like Colorado. So if you live in the Midwest, it's kind of like the only place.
Or Northeast or...
Right. Nothing really, some South, but, it became this kind of cultural hub for what was growing as a sport, like if you look at any sport, it starts somewhere, in these different places all over the world.
So it's hard to take off.
It started to take off, and it was grassroots, and it was just kind of happened organically. I don't think no one pushed it too much.
Yeah.
But then every year it just grew just a little bit, a noticeable amount, right?
How much was it to camp? Could you camp back then?
At first we started letting people camp. So it was kind of like, you can camp out back. And then it turned into $2 if you wanted to camp, and you slid it under the front door of Miguel's. It was like a donation process.
Yeah.
And that worked for years, honestly. I mean, it was like, I remember as a kid, you'd go in the morning and open the front door of Miguel's, and there'd be like all this cash on the floor. Like a total of $30 or something. The community that's coming, they're like wearing neon pants, and can you tell me about that? Well, yeah, I mean, especially at the time in the early 90s, Eastern Kentucky, wasn't the most progressive hotspot in America. So you can imagine, somebody from Chicago in neon spandex with a mullet walking around might make you look weird.
But they were welcomed.
Super welcomed. I think what has made Miguel so popular for so many years and has worked for it it's just kind of a ground zero. We're not trying to steer the narrative. and I think people appreciate that. It seems welcoming to whoever walks
Yeah.
through the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Kindness to strangers.
kindness to strangers.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great concept.
Yeah, it's funny how that goes. And so yeah, that it just that kind of propelled us through the a whole '90s, and then it at one point it was like me, my mom, and dad working, and then it was like our first employee. Like the next year it got busier.
Yeah.
And it was a weekend thing. We'd get crazy on the weekends, slow on the weekdays. But as a kid, it was like, I mean, it was the best place to grow up in the
Yeah.
entire world. I mean, I grew up around people from all over the world. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
And that, go ahead.
That was an adventure. Wow.
And then it's in itself, and every weekend, it would be a lot of the same people, right? And then you got to know them, and then they almost felt like family. And then when you had a birthday party, like you were inviting these strangers from all over the place because you spent more time with them than anyone, right? And so it just really was this close knit community that just grew around pizza and
Yeah.
whatever
People may not know, though, that for years, correct me if I'm wrong, it was pretty quiet.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we lived on a very sparse income for I'd say probably 15 years. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
not like you wouldn't consider it a successful business.
Yeah.
That said, the reason it worked is because my parents are very non-materialistic, just very low maintenance people.
Yep.
They don't need all the
They don't
frill.
need much.
My mom and dad live in the same house they built when they moved here in '83. My dad built it by hand, and he wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. It's
No.
that's the type of people they are. They're not trying to they're not necessarily trying to change their lives. They're trying to they put everything into their business.
Yeah. You mentioned Porter Jared, I believe.
Gerard.
Gerard, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. But tell me the impact that he had on you, the business, and the gorge.
Well, I mean, I think there's 100 people you could put on that list. The reason his impact was so great is he was just a person that saw the potential. That said, "Hey, there's something here that people will appreciate," and he was kind of the first creator of it. To make it available and tell people about it and see the vision of it. Before that, it was kind of kept to itself.
Yeah.
So, and that spread worldly. It grew crazy after that. So
Yeah, literally around the globe.
yeah. I mean, literally around the globe.
Which is
100%.
isn't that astounding?
Yeah, it's if you're in the climbing community, I've traveled all over the world, and everywhere you go, I mean, people know about Miguel's and the whole.
Yeah.
and would love to come there, and it's a cool story.
What did Porter do?
He developed climbs, so he would just go out in the woods and find these beautiful walls and
Develop climbs.
put bolts into them so they were safely accessible for people to
Yeah.
go climb.
And no one before that, well, I wouldn't say no one, but it was not easy to
No, it was just trad climbing, which, if you're familiar, it's more of a traditional way of climbing. It's less safe, and the clientele of it is just way smaller, so it didn't bring as many people here.
Yeah. When we go to the Miguels, there's cars. You just go in, and I always look at the license plates.
Yeah,
They're from everywhere.
yeah. Lots of Canadians, French, lots of French, Spain. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's slowed down since COVID, but it's starting to slowly pick back up because, if you're on the, just like, I don't know, if you're a baseball player, Yankee Stadium is a cool place probably to play baseball. For rock climbing, the Red River Gorge is like one of those things, if you're a rock climber, you want to do in your life,
Yeah.
and that transfers to the world. So
Yeah.
you have people in other countries. "Oh, I'd love to go climb there, and then maybe someday they do.
Yeah. I live in Winchester, and there have been some Sunday nights
Yeah.
at 10 p.m. that happened to be down in the gorge, and lines are out the front door.
Yeah.
I'm by myself, and I end up sitting at a table with someone from Washington, D.C., and why did you come here? This is the Mecca.
Yeah, it
To
truly
talk
is.
about that maybe maybe some Kentuckians don't understand how others view this as a Mecca.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are familiar with like Yosemite as like being this world-renowned climbing area, but for the style that the gorge owns, there's nothing else like it. And the amount of climbing, local climber groups are always buying up these huge areas of land that are making it available for people to climb. And so it's not only a big place, but it's a continually growing place.
Yeah.
And so as a visitor, it kind of keeps it always intriguing.
Yeah.
Because Eastern Kentucky, the Corbin sandstone that creates the gorge and everything is super unique and lends to climbing. So the horizon is almost endless for the development of it.
Wow. You talked about 15 years of quiet, hard work. Can you talk about the work? You mentioned the work ethic. How did the work ethic make it so successful?
Well, I'm the oldest of 3 children. I have a sister and I have a brother. And we were as family business as it gets. We've all put our time in. Even my sister, who doesn't work there anymore, worked there till she graduated school. And my brother went to college and then now comes back and works full time with us too. And he kind of keeps Miguel's. We call him the general manager or the HR.
Yeah.
But he keeps everything rolling. And because of him coming back from college, gave me an opportunity to do other things that I wanted to do. But, if you could ask anyone that works with us, I think a big misunderstanding that people that want to open businesses and be an entrepreneur lose is that like it's not like a turnkey and you walk away and success just falls in your lap.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's if you're not willing to work harder than anyone that works for you, it's not gonna play out
Yeah.
the way you want. And I think with my parents, their love and their just natural desire to be working with everyone, and it truly not feeling like work to them. I don't think.
Become a way of life for them.
It literally becomes a way of life.
Yeah.
And if you do it long enough, like anything, I think it also becomes your identity, your personality.
Yeah.
Which can have its downsides, because then you become very attached to it, and everything else kind of doesn't seem as normal as when you're at work and you're in your zone.
I
So-
think Pascal could. I would like you to comment. He was a monk for 16 years, and during that time, for 16 hours a day, they prayed and they worked. Do you want to comment on that?
Well, it was just the rule, the Benedictine rule, which we prayed the whole book of Psalms every week,
And you worked.
in common, and for church. The church bells called us to church 5 times a day, and then we had 3 hours of work in the morning and 3 hours every afternoon. It was just regularity. We just did it,
Yeah.
And he enjoyed it.
And it becoming a way of life.
It was a way of life, yeah. And I was happy and devout. It totally in it. In fact, I didn't want to become a priest. I was afraid I'd lose my monastic vocation. Yeah.
Recently, I don't know when it happened, but I've been to your new venture, or your venture.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, so I've worked at Miguel since I was probably 16. I'm 42 now. And so, we've been through remodels, COVID, all the obstacles I think possible at Miguel's, and highs and lows. And I think I was, with the opportunity of my brother coming back from college and taking some responsibility away from what I needed to do. And also my parents they work 60 hours a week, both of them to this day.
Wow. Wow.
So they do so much for the business that me and my brother wouldn't be able to do what we do if it wasn't for them. As much as we're pushing them to retire and do things, there comes a point where you just, that you got to give up that fight.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Miguel's, I'd worked there for a long time. And, there was, I always kind of wanted to try something different. You work in the same place in the gorge itself. If you're there working every day, you start to see these things that, and possibilities and just like needs. You go, okay, well, all the people that used to come here when I was a kid now are grown up and they have jobs, and they don't necessarily want to sit down for pizza. Maybe they want like have a nicer dinner and sit down and like have the whole experience. And there just came to be this property that had this old. It was a property from a family farm of like 100 and something years. And the old man had passed, and the kids weren't interested, and it had this old cattle barn on it. I mean, it was literally full of horse stalls and chickens and the whole gauntlet. And the property came available, and I remember going up there and being like, man, the setting of this would be just we actually didn't buy the property to open a restaurant. We bought the property because we thought the property was beautiful and it had a little house on it. And then the more we kind of hung around up there, we started this vision kind of started going, man, this would be a beautiful place to have dinner, and then it just kind of, there's no business plans or grand meetings or
just grew on you.
Yeah. And then you start rolling with it, and the further you roll with it, the bigger it gets. And, we opened that up.
Tell us the name.
Red Point Barbecue.
Yeah. How did you come up with the name?
Tossed around a million words. Red Point, and if you're climbing, means like to do something, like the accomplishment. Like if you do a route, you red point it. It was on Red Point Road. It was on a point at the red. I mean, kind of stuck. But and so I had some friends with me at the time that were super willing to like commit their time to help me do it. And so I hired a few friends, and we got, started out, obviously like figuring it out as we go, and the first few years were a little slow. We didn't make any money. It was quiet. We were still figuring it out, and, we didn't advertise, but it was kind of word of mouth. And then, I think this spring we've been there 5 years, and it's like,
yeah.
There's this whole spring has been like a parking lot full 40 minutes before we open.
Every time I go there, it is packed.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I usually go when I'm going down to the gorge, and sometimes, but it's just always packed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the goal there was, to make it affordable, but also make just simple, good food, because that's what I want when I go somewhere. I don't need all the bells and whistles, but what I eat, I want the core of it to be good, and I want to leave full, and that that's important to me. So to that, this restaurant was a goal to do that, and especially it's a little harder in Eastern Kentucky because, like, yes, you have the tourist clientele, but that's for that restaurant to work, the only reason it's worked is because we have a huge local clientele from Eastern Kentucky that are regulars, and
but you also said you had a beautiful view.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful farm.
You can eat outside if you want and look over this beautiful overlook.
And so it's been really great to see the local people enjoy the restaurant, because to me that's like the hardest clientele, because Eastern Kentuckians, they have their set and what they like and then what they don't like, and then having a restaurant where you're like serving curry on the sweet potatoes, it's just not normal for our region, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not anything cutting edge, but
Yeah.
it's just pushing the envelope enough that people still feel comfortable, I think.
Yeah.
But they're also trying new things. They're, wow, I love this,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is good, and getting kind of people out of that, diner,
Yeah.
restaurant menu where it's, the French fries and all those things that you get in, and said, oh no, we'll try this instead, and to see people like grasp onto that has been really enjoyable.
The gorge, as you mentioned, is a global destination. If you could take yourself back to the 80s and have looked forward and seen what it has become, could you have ever imagined
No.
what has transpired?
No, I mean, I think as time went through it, it was always a constant build. So you always wondered where the top would end. But it was the 90s and the 2000s for me were like some of the, it was such a wonderful time.
Yeah.
It was just to see, I don't think a lot of people have the privilege of being caught in something where it is just to be caught in the middle of like growth of anything is just, or it is a privilege, to see
Yeah.
something like blossom and start from nothing and just to observe, even if you're not doing all the hard work all the
Right.
time, just to be there was really fun.
Is it fair to say that this destination rose from pizza dough, or that pizza dough had a big part of it?
Yeah, I mean, at the core of everything, for us has always been, like obviously the food has been always very important. And like any good time, you gotta have food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we've always put a lot of, we put a ton of effort into our food, and my dad cares more about everything that he produces out that door, even down to like how much food we are wasting and stuff like that, that isn't always like necessary. It's kind of overlooked sometimes in restaurants, but yeah, at the core, yes, it's always been food,
Yeah.
and all this stuff wouldn't be possible if people weren't buying the food and making this what it is today,
Yeah.
You gotta
What about the kindness to strangers part of it? Wasn't that a big part of what took place?
Welcoming.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my dad is, he's also the person, if you, like you leave trash, he'll yell at you, but he's also this same person that will sit down at your table and ask you where you're from and what you've done. And, people don't, you don't realize when you don't have anything like we did for so many years, and there wasn't this pull, that everyday conversation and interaction with people and just being down to earth, it builds. And, the word of mouth is the strongest thing in the world as far as I'm concerned. And, what people's opinion and their experience, and they will tell that to 100 people before an advertisement will. And and I think he naturally did that through his whole life to this point.
We call that front porch conversation.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was like the catalyst of that, and the ripple effect was huge. But I think that personal reaction with people for 20 years paid off.
Are you much like him?
Am I much like? Yes, me and my dad get along great. We we work together great.
Are you yourself, your personality, much like him?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. That's a good
That's a good thing.
a good person to emulate.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I guess my mom is a lot. I think my brother is a lot more like my mom. Like very like, like if it wasn't for my mom, I don't know if she was always the one going, "Hey, we can't afford this," or hey, we got that's
Yeah.
too much money, or she was kind of always the one that had to like kind of wrench everything down, which was also like, the yin and yang to everything. You have to have two sides of everything.
So she was the ground.
She was the earth.
She was the earth.
She was the
Yeah.
earth. Yeah.
We can relate to that.
Yeah.
Both our wives are the ground.
Yes. And it was crucial, because that's, the backbone of the business is the ground, and her always keeping that, I think probably gave my dad more opportunity to be that front porch kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, as we come to a close here, I would love to hear about your visit to Portugal. If you briefly, what happened, why did you do it, and then what did it mean to you?
Well, we have, Portuguese, I think, have a lot of pride in their culture. And they also pride hard work. And so I've been back there a few times. The last time I was there is my grandmother still owned her original family land there. And she went and sold it, and I flew her over there to do that. But yeah, Portugal is a beautiful country if you ever get a chance.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. Food's great. People are great. But yeah, I think just everyone wants to kind of get back to the roots. I mean, when you go to Portugal and then you reflect to where my parents have got me and my brother and family, it really, I know it sounds cliche, but like the American dream, seeing how that can play out.
Yeah.
For people that that are willing to work hard and
Yeah.
kind of put their teeth on the grindstone kind of thing. It gives you a full picture of that, and it's cool to see it play out like that. 'Cause
Amen.
it doesn't for everyone, and
Yeah.
we're very fortunate.
And they were your family in Portugal are bakers or were bakers.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know if that has anything to do with our success, but I think the only thing that I could say that would contribute to our success is that constant, relentless work ethic of getting something done every day.
Yeah.
And producing something. And I think if you wear that hat long enough, it'll play out
Amen.
if you're lucky.
Well, we've asked a ton of questions. What haven't we asked maybe that would be good for people to know about this whole great story?
Is there anything you would like to say?
I don't know. There's too many things to say, and I'm only 40 years old, so I haven't seen it all yet. But I'm enjoying it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's if you're not enjoying it.
Did you say you had a couple of kids?
I got a 2-year-old and I got a 14-year-old.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Congratulations.
yeah, it's I'm gonna be dad forever. But yeah, it's enjoyable. My daughter is a great person. She had kind of a rough life. She had a liver transplant, so she's had a rough one, but she's coming out on top.
Yeah.
Which is always good to hear. And yeah, I mean, there's probably 100 stories in the world, but I think ours is a good outcome, and that's good to hear sometimes,
Yeah.
especially in this day and age, just something positive.
What word of advice would you give to young people today? What single word, sentence of advice would you give to young people today?
I would say that just keep on trying.
Yeah.
I think that it takes endless effort to be good at anything, and
Endless effort.
yeah, I think
But eventually you get pretty good at it.
eventually effort pays off, and eventually you get good at it, and then you probably get bored of it, and then you want to master something else. But I work with so many young people, and I work the grill at the restaurant, so I'm literally in the kitchen with these people, and
it's hard work. It
it's
appears just sitting at the bar and looking over, it looks pretty hard.
And a line I'll never forget, my dad said when I was like, hey, I think we should open this barbecue place. My dad's advice was, don't do it. He said there's a lot easier ways to make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, restaurant work's hard. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
What's he say now?
Same thing. And I go, yeah, Dad, you're right. This is hard work.
Yeah, you were right, Dad.
Well,
So yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I mean, if you want to dig deeper, you can just Google us, and there's all kinds of stuff on the internet. They did a movie a few years ago called Stone Locals. Patagonia came and did a movie on kind of our story and my life a little bit, but that's a good one to see, like
fantastic.
Perspective and kind of like more outwardly view of it all. But or just come up and say hi.
So if people want to come to Red Point to eat, tell them how to do it.
How to get there?
That's the hard one. If you think you're lost, you're not. We're out by Campton, down a long gravel road on a farm. If you Google us, you'll find us. But I'd say come early or come late. Don't come at 7 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It's funny though how people when I travel, I'm obviously very interested in the food and I want to try everything. And I've been to there was a place I was just in New Mexico, and I waited for an hour, and then I sat down, and the meal was amazing, and it was all worth it. But it was, the longer people sit out there and wait for your food, the bigger pressure you have. 'Cause you're like, oh God, the clock is ticking. But just come enjoy it, enjoy nature, enjoy the gorge, and hopefully we'll make you enjoy dinner, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being with us, and congratulations on Red Point, and thank you for all the great memories you've given so many people from all over the country.
For the world.
And the great food and the great fellowship that I've had with my family at your family's business.
Well, I hope that my family keeps on trucking along and keeps it going. It's a labor of love, and there's some days that we go, what are we doing with our lives? But we keep on doing it. And, my parents have committed their life to it. I can't say that I'll do the same, but I'm still doing it, so we'll see how long it lasts.
Well, the labor of love is a pregnant phrase, because you see it's a labor.
It's the labor is the key word.
But thank you for being with us.
It's been a pleasure.